Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, rabbit, everybody. Happy 1st of September to all of you. I forgot to say that at the top of the show. Now I've jinxed it. September's ruined, Bethany. I didn't say rabbit. Anyway, you're not so.
Yeah. September is terrible anyway.
I like September, but I've now ruined it anyway. I'm Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor on this glorious Labor Day morning. I'm in for him all week, sitting alongside today Bethany Mandel. Good morning, Bethany. Once again, hi.
Good morning, and you're gonna unfortunately have me again on Thursday.
Listen, I'm excited. This is great. It's so much fun to hang out with you on the show. Listen, it is 7:08 a.m. on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. We got Joe diGenova joining us in just a second. Mark Morano joining us from Climate Depot in the bottom half of the hour. Adam Gillette from Accuracy and Media, and Maria Flores from the former Congresswoman for the great state of Texas. In fact, let's get right to it. Maybe he can explain this to me. All of us. Joe, what is the Democrats' ongoing fetishization of Kilmar Arbrigo Garcia? What do you make of this?
Well, it reminds me of Charles Dickens in Bleak House,
the
famous Dickens novel about the never-ending legal case of Jarndyce versus Jarndyce, which goes on for a generation. This is an example of the Democrats trying to find something to cling to in order to make a phony moral point. In the process, they are committing harikari. And so my view is keep it up, boys. You're doing just fine. The Democrats look stupid because they are stupid.
Well, this gets into the same thing with pushing back against cracking down on illegal people voting at the polls, right? This is the hill they want to die on.
Precisely, because when you look at all the laws that have been passed to increase voter security and to verify the identity of the voter, the best example is Georgia, where the Democrats claimed that this was going to interfere with voter participation, and in fact, they had the largest voter turnout after the law was passed. They had the largest minority black participation in the history of the state. But the Democrats continue to lie about the fact that identifying you as a legitimate voter is bad for democracy. You know, in all the other Western countries in the world, mail-in balloting and mail-out balloting, where they mail out ballots to everybody in a jurisdiction, everywhere in the free world is illegal. Only in America do we invite fraud by having mail-in ballots, which are the worst form of voting, the most insecure form of voting.
I ran for school board here in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I was within a percentage point until those mail-in ballots started coming in, and then that percentage point blew up, and I've always been a truther about mail-in ballots, and that just solidified it for me. How are you feeling about crime in D.C. these days? I know that Democrats are sort of lying and gaslighting our way through life, but can they deny the fact that D.C. is safer in the last 2 weeks or so since President Trump took over?
Well, Democrats can deny anything. They're very good at it. They're very good at denying reality and denying the obvious.
We lost our guest.
Yes, we. Sorry, go
right
ahead,
right when he told a good joke too.
There's that, but you know something, that is part of it, and part of it is purposeful, right? As we've been talking about, it's about getting folks spun up so that they are ill-informed, and some of it is just the general denial of reality, isn't it, Bethany?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I sort of leading him into the question of, how is D.C. doing these days? And I can tell you anecdotally, when I got here to the WMAL station this morning here in D.C. and I got here, I normally wait in my car to be let into the building, and I just sat on a bench outside at 4 a.m. and I felt comfortable. Now, I was a little cold because this is why September is terrible, because the temperature goes down. But I feel safer. It feels like a different place.
I park my car in the street and I don't worry about it. There we go. We
have Joe back.
Joe, tell us all what's really going on with DC crime right now.
Well, the flooding the zone, when the president flooded the zone with the National Guard, federal, FBI, DEA, ATF, United States Postal Service people, when all that was done, it creates a presence. And when you have a presence, crime goes down. It is an irrefutable nostrum of law enforcement that when you flood the zone, you win.
Right. No, this is exactly it. So things are down. They want to replicate this. Again, we talk about the disconnect between what's happening on the ground and reality, and yet this is another thing that Democrats are against. They are against lowering crime. I mean, is this what's going on here? Is it, as we talk about not just flooding the zone on crime, it's flooding the zone on the exposition of the narrative of Democrats as being completely out of touch with reality. What do you think of that, Joe?
Well, there isn't any doubt about it that the Democrats don't care about reality. They are attempting to create an alternate universe.
Yes.
They are trying to create a different world where facts and reality do not exist. That's why they deny the effectiveness of voter verification, why they deny the tremendous results in Georgia when they passed voter verification laws. The truth is the Democrats are engaged in a form of self-annihilation that is illogical, irrational. It's very difficult to analyze people when they're as crazy as the Democrats are. You try to decide how to fight them, and then you realize that the best way to fight them is to let them kill themselves, which is exactly what they're doing.
So I think that we're watching that play out in Northern Virginia right now.
Yes.
One of the most interesting, I think, news nuggets that came out of that really racist sign that was held up against Winsome Sears, telling her, you know, if you can't share a bathroom, then we don't have to share a water fountain with you, a black woman. The founder of Black Entertainment Television, BET, he donated, I think, $50,000 or $500,000 to her campaign. But now we're also seeing that 2 school districts are suing the Department of Education to basically stay on the wrong side of the 80-20 issue of gender policies in bathrooms. What could be motivating them here? Like what? I know you said it's illogical, but I truly can't wrap my brain around it.
Well, what you have, these are committed ideologues. They have come to believe that this illogical, unscientific, irrational nonsense about a boy can become a girl only by thinking it. Even though he has a penis, he can become a woman by simply saying that he is one. The illogic and the stupidity of that is self-evident. But what's missing is a slam dunk from the United States Supreme Court. They have to stop this in its tracks. They have to slam it down. They have to say things. The problem is there's a Supreme Court decision a few years ago which said that gender identity could be included in anti-discrimination interpretations. A stupid, dumb, uninformed ruling by the Supreme Court. They need to reverse it. They need to stop it. And they need to say that all of this is not only irrational, it is unconstitutional to say that men are women. It's dumb. You have to stop this. When it's so obvious, if you don't stop it, you allow the people who are crazy saying that it is to continue in the public square.
Yeah, listen, we're going to continue to talk about this, Joe. You're going to hang on for a second, but first at 7:15 a.m.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
We're continuing to talk with Joe diGenova, as we do every Monday morning, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Joe, they can't put a gag order on Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem, can they?
Federal judges can do whatever they want and usually have been doing that throughout the Trump second term. My guess is that you'll probably find some federal judge who's willing to slap a gag order on a member of the cabinet. And even remember, the president of the United States was subject to a gag order by a judge in New York, a corrupt, out-of-touch New York judge. The issue is when you have a person who's charged with a crime, to what extent are gag orders allowed? They are very, very frowned upon by Supreme Court precedent. It's only in rare instances when you can impose a gag order. However, As I said, the federal judiciary is out of control. For the most part, the lower judiciary, the district court judges, mostly in Democratic states, almost entirely Democratic appointees, have been running wild in trying to stop the president in whatever he's doing. But the Supreme Court has made it very clear recently in some statements by Justices Gorsuch and Kavanaugh that they're getting tired of these people ignoring binding precedent from the justices. So we may be seeing a come to reckoning. And I think the way the court's going to have to do this, in order to send a truly important signal to the district court judges, they're going to have to reverse a decision by one of these judges and send it back with an order that the judge be removed from the case.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's going to get the attention of these judges, because believe me, if you've ever been in a judge's dining room and watch them and listen to some of the things they say at judicial conferences not open to the public, the stunning arrogance of the new federal judiciary is unbelievable. And it's best exemplified by James Boasberg, the chief judge of the U.S. District Court here in D.C.
Yeah.
The things that he has said in private and on the bench are simply outrageous and, in my view, sanctionable. And will anyone do anything about it? We shall see.
Well, I mean, we're at that point, right, where there's this certain degree of accountability. Once, as we've been talking about on the show today, you let these things fester over time. And this is what we're running up against. I mean, you talk about the gag orders at the other end of the spectrum is the issue of the tariffs. How is a president supposed to engage in international economic policy if he could just be overruled willy-nilly by a federal judge?
Well, this ruling by the federal, it's a funny little court. It's called the Federal Circuit. It's not the D.C. Circuit.
Right.
It's called the Federal Circuit, and
Yes.
It is a place where contracts and tariff cases are ordered. This is a special court that was set up by Congress. The trial court is in New York, and the appeals court is in D.C. They ruled 7-4, and remember, there were 4 dissenting judges, that the president did not have the authority to issue most of his tariffs. Some of them were legitimate, they said, but others were not. The bottom line is this: a court should not be in the business of determining whether, when the president says there is an international economic emergency, no federal court should be able to say, you're wrong, Mr. President. That is an executive function. The judges should stay out of it, and the court should have ruled unanimously that this was what we call a non-justiciable question, that it was a political question left to the executive branch. But they didn't do that. They stepped in it with all fours, and it's up to the justices on the Supreme Court to reverse this unanimously.
I mean, Joe, the issue is it doesn't end anywhere, right? What's to stay at the next step if the president, if there is a military emergency, and the courts don't like the president who's in power, that the courts would step in and say, no, you can't use military force. I mean, at this point, it is completely untethered from any constitutional structure, isn't it?
It is, and and you're absolutely right. Because remember when Judge Boasberg, in the middle of a hearing, ordered that planes be turned around and sent back to the United States? Those types of orders are insane. They are irrational, but they are a product of tolerating this type of behavior by federal judges and not having it slapped down effectively by either circuit courts or the Supreme Court. It is time for the Supreme Court to stop this. They have to stop worrying about their legacy and start ruling. And, there's an old saying, shut up and rule.
Right. No, absolutely. Listen, before I let you go, apparently the sandwich guy isn't going to be charged with a felony, is he?
No, unfortunately. He has been charged with a misdemeanor.
Yes.
And so a D.C. jury will get a chance to, if they want to, acquit him or convict him. The problem in D.C. is you have a very, very bad jury pool.
Yeah.
This happened when I was U.S. attorney. When Richard Nixon was pardoned, D.C. juries wouldn't convict anybody of anything for 6 months. So the bottom line is you have a very bad jury pool in the District of Columbia, and what they need to do is Congress needs to have pass a new law creating venue in any district in the United States for crimes committed in the District of Columbia.
Well, I love it. Listen, Joe, thank you so very much for joining us. Happy September to you, my friend.
And you bet.
Yeah, take care. This is we've got so much more to get to right now at 7:23 here on WMAL.